We wanted to bring in a couple of other solution providers that we have worked with that we think have some pretty cool, unique business propositions and value props for their clients. And one that rounds out the Palo Alto discussion nicely is our partner Ntirety. We've been working with them now for about a year, and they have the whole suite of security services that are wrapped around Palo and some other products. But we have Jason Stein, who runs all of sales for North America. He came to town to give you a little bit more background about who they are and how they're helping some pretty big household name clients with implementing, not only designing the strategy, but implementing it and remediating the problems. So without further ado, I'll turn it over.
Great. Thank you, Lori. All right, so Ntirety, we've been in business for about 20 years. We have 2,500 enterprise customers, 80,000 SMB clients. We have 540-ish employees, most of which are really technical, very smart. I'm probably one of the dumbest. With that being said, we do manage a lot of different aspects of an organization. We do three things really well. We do compliance, security, and cloud services. We have 3 US-based data centers today. We used to own and operate 14 data centers. We sold them off. We didn't want to be in the co-location business. So more of what you'll see with us is all around managed services, professional services. We have 3 US-based SOCs. One's in Louisville, Kentucky, one's in Newark, Delaware, and one's in Denver, Colorado. All US-based employees, US credentialed. So they meet all those compliances. So I want to jump right into the first aspect of what we do, which is compliance as a service. So I was having a couple conversations earlier, and compliance is a necessary evil. It's something that falls on each one of your laps that you have to do. And a lot of times it's somebody in finance who got that responsibility, and they said, don't worry, you got IT. And IT says, well, we don't really know what to do with compliance either. So there's lots of different kinds of compliances. So let's talk about PCI, point of sale. So who here ordered food during COVID from a takeout restaurant? Did you give your credit card over the phone? What did they do with it? Did they write it down on a piece of paper? Did they put it in their computer? Did they throw it in the trash when they were done? So a lot of that violates PCI. I worked for a data discovery company before I came here, and I was working with a financial organization. They're Fortune 1000, and I said, we're going to do a scan of everything living in your environment. He said, well, you got to go back 7 years. I said, how many things do you think we'll find that are bad living in your environment? And he said, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000. So what we did is we did a scan to try and find PII, personable identifiable information. So Lori, I can't have Lori. I can't have your name, your phone number, your email, your social security number, your tax ID. Any one of those is infraction. So GDPR, the European version, California, some of the statewide ones, I'll get into those. So we did a scan of his environment, and he was expecting 2,000 to 3,000. I found 17 million infractions, including 300,000 credit cards that were living on their call center's desktops, because Lori travels a lot, and they decided, you know what, I'm just going to keep her credit card on my desktop. All of her Marriott rewards, her American Airlines rewards, so that I can access it really easily. Well, all of that violated PCI, as well as a lot of the other types of compliances out there. So let's get into HIPAA. So healthcare, any medical organizations in the room? So doctors were starting to see patients remote. Did anybody call a doctor during COVID? You're doing a CAT scan, an MRI, maybe you had an X-ray. Doctors were then putting that on their desktop so that when Nick came in, or Nick called me, I could actually look at that stuff. Well, that's also violating a lot of those different aspects of HIPAA and high trust. We can also do FERPA for higher education. We can do SOC 1 through 3, ISO 27001, all the statewide compliances. So GDPR came out, right? And GDPR is the European version, and then they made examples of Marriott for 50 million euros, British Airways for 50 million euros, and then they went after Google for 100 million euros. So California said that is a genius way to make protect people. So they came out with CCPA, and it's $7,500 per infraction. So every single one of those things that I identified with Lori would be $7,500. Then COVID hit. And they decided, you know what, we'll put everyone out of business and it'll pretty much royally get rid of the SMB market, so we'll wait. Well, come 2022, you're looking at 40 different states are going to have their own version of GDPR, CCPA. We've already seen Washington come out with theirs, Texas has come out with theirs, New York's come out with theirs. So just expect that stuff's coming. So if you're doing business in other states, you need to actually make sure that you got your arms around that. And that's where we can help. So what do? We do it as a service. We can come in and be an extension of your IT department, be an extension of your business department to help you pass those regulatory audits. When we work with clients, most of the time, clients are keeping track to pass their Excel, their regulatory audits on Excel. And it's not a feasible way to be able to go to your auditor and go, here you go, here's my Excel document, we're good. You know, I don't know how you can tell your board of directors and with all confidence and then look at an Excel document and think that you're going to be able to pass that and not have any fines. So we use this GRC, Governance, Risk, and Compliance tool. This tool shows up in red. So healthcare organization needs HIPAA. They need high trust. Doctors want to make money, so there's PCI. Usually there's SOC 2, and then if you're in California, you need CCPA. So each one of those wheels will show up in red. So in order to pass a PCI audit, there's 256 things you'd have to adhere to. The wheel shows up in red, and we usually get one of the people from your IT department. We start to fill this wheel out, and we start to put in all the documentation so that you'll pass your compliances. So Nick, you have these 5 things. Christy, you have these 5 things. Ready, break. Every week we start to fill this out and the wheel goes from red to orange to yellow to green. When the entire wheel's green, you know you can call your auditor and you'll pass your audits. As you click into the wheel, it shows all the different components that you would need to put in there. You can put documentations, everything that would pertain to passing your audit. So compliance as a service, you know, the number one thing that I wanted to start with, we started at $1,500 a month, which is a fraction of what it would cost to bring in one resource, and we give you a team of experts to help you pass all those things. We're also doing CMMC, NIST framework, moving into the federal government space. So if you're doing business with a federal government entity or a public sector entity, you will need to have CMMC. If you do not, you're going to lose those contracts. The federal government's going to start to come over the top and issue fines because it's such a moneymaker. I mean, they could protect people. So just know that that's one of the things that we can do, compliance as a service. The second thing is full stack security. So we're very loyal to Palo Alto. We're doing a lot of business with Palo Alto. They're our go-to provider when it comes to security. So we can do managed firewalls anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter whether it's in a data center, on-prem, in a colo facility, in the cloud. We can spin up an instance and we can protect. We can actually do the Palo Alto software for the firewall. Then as Brian was mentioning, we can also do the SD-WAN with the Prisma SD-WAN. We can also do Cortex XDR, all as standalone products, and we can come in and help protect organizations. So that XDR is an MDR antivirus solution that we can come in and help organizations with that. So then we can, our second competency, we do 3 things really well in security, managed security anywhere in the world. The second thing is SOC as a service. So we actually use LogRhythm for our SOC and our SIM. We have those 3 US-based SOCs, as I mentioned, and we'll come in and handle that threat aspect of your organization. So, you know, what I had a couple conversations with, and yesterday we were in Dallas, and we had a former FBI guy come and speak, and we were talking about, you know, what are some of the challenges, and it's having your IT staff and your security department sometimes be on the same landscape, and sometimes they need to be separated. There's not enough good security people out there. It's hard to keep them. It's hard to maintain that person within your organization because, let's face it, there's only 500,000 really good security people, if that, and there's 2 million jobs available, and so those people are constantly getting raises, and they don't really need to stay. And so typically the person who built a security practice for an organization tends to leave, or you have a hard time staffing it. So we can handle all that threat aspect, like what happened to Target, obviously sifting through those tens of thousands of leads that are hitting an organization all the time. So I used to work for a Russian organization that I think everyone's pretty familiar with that does endpoint security. And I flew a client who had 200 locations to Russia, and I said, CEO comes to you with a blank check. What do you ask for? And he said, I would get SOC. SOC, I would build it. And I said, well, what's preventing you from doing that? He said, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what technology is that good. I can't staff it 24/7, and there's no way my guys are going to know anything about it. And if they did, if they saw all these threats, they wouldn't even know what to do. Which ones are good? Which ones are bad? We take that off your plate. We offer SOC as a service. We come in and give you a team of experts that come in and look at all those bad actions coming in. They can go laterally. We're looking and finding out what's going across your SD-WAN, what's going across your environment. We're seeing what's traversing through your network. You know, why all of a sudden is Nick supposed to be here at Fleming's and he is now in China and he's siphoning off all the credit card information from the finance folder. Laura, you have a problem with Nick. So these are all things that we can take off the plate of an organization. SOC is very, very challenging. It's not easy. It's hard to staff 24/7, and it's hard to get 2 good security guys, let alone a team of 6 that it needs to manage that 24/7. So if you need help, you want to actually do something like that, we can actually come in and give it to you for a fraction of the cost. We charge on messages per second on throughput, so it keeps costs low. It's not on device count. The third thing we do is a virtual CISO as a service. And so this is consumed 2 different ways. So one for security and another for risk and compliance. So we can actually come in and act as your chief information security officer or your chief risk officer or your chief compliance officer and come in and make sure that you have everything that you need. When's the last time you did a risk assessment? When's the last time you did a gap assessment, a vulnerability assessment, a pen test? Do you know what bad actors are living in your environment? The guy for the FBI finished his presentation and someone said, how many times has the FBI been compromised? And he looked both ways and he said, 3 that I know of. I believe it was a 4th. If the FBI, with all the intel that we have and all the money in the world, still can get compromised, there are bad actors living in every customer that has done a risk gap penetration test with us. We've seen bad things live in their environment. So, please get that done. We can actually come in. If you don't have a CISO, we can give you a bucket of hours. It's non-recurring, and come in and just help you and your organization mature. Take a look at all the policies and procedures. Make sure that everybody's on the same page. We can also do security awareness training. If you haven't done that, let's face it, employees click on bad stuff all the time. We're a security company. We decided to send out a little test to our employees. As a security company, we said, change your password. And nobody looked and saw what the link was, and it actually ended up being a test. 250 of our 500 employees clicked on it as a security company. So imagine what that would do to your organization if you don't have the right tools and people in place. So we can come in and do security awareness training, very, very low costs. They're planned phishing attacks, customized, recorded. You have all the data and analytics, and typically the C-level is always the one who clicks on those things. So it's kind of interesting. It tends to be very true. Okay, so the third thing that we do is the full stack. We started as a cloud organization. We implemented security and compliance because they're so necessary in every part of your business. Doesn't matter whether it's voice, data, your cloud technology. So starting at the bottom, we actually can do public, private, hybrid cloud. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. We can come in and help you if any applications are giving you fits. We have a full team of experts that can come in and do application transformation and fix that stuff and migrate it. We also have a team of 30 that just focus on databases. They can do SQL, Oracle, MongoDB, MySQL. We can come in and run queries quick. We can do data analytics, data governance, business intelligence, give you all those analytics that sometimes are not easy to pull. Most of the time we deal with an organization that says, well, the guy who built our database left and we have a guy who wears a different hat. And we can actually come in and help fix that environment. So if you need help with any of that, we have a team that just focuses on that solely. And that can be the only product that you purchase from us. We can do custom built cloud solutions for organizations. So we can do infrastructure as a service, desktop as a service, all the way down to one user, disaster recovery. We can actually help in any aspect of the cloud. And then we have a full team of experts to come in and help plan for that. If you say, hey, we're not sure if it makes more sense for us to move to public cloud or keep it on-prem or move it to a provider, or what makes the most sense over the next 6 months to a year. We'll actually do an assessment. We'll help you plan that out. And a lot of times that's free of charge. Josh likes to work for free. So then we have what's called monitoring insights. So who here has heard of SolarWinds? SolarWinds, unfortunately, had a little hiccup. It's unfortunate. We think that SolarWinds has completely patched everything. But if you have SolarWinds Orion, or you don't have an asset inventory management platform within your organization, this is it. This is something that we can come in. It's a multitude of really best-of-breed technologies. We can actually do hardware, software, licensing. It's got an orchestration layer to spin up instances and spin them down. You can help get your arms around your IT environment. It's got runbook automation to fix alarms, make sure that your team's running optimally. And this is a great ROI tool. Typically, when customers purchase this from us, we find a way to save them 25% on their cloud expenditures. So the last thing that we're doing, as Lori mentioned, we're owned by Prudential. So Prudential's an insurance company, right? So we went around and said, what are organizations struggling with now? And it was cybersecurity liability insurance. Anybody have their policy coming up for renewal? It's very, very challenging to get that policy renewed. They're, trying to pay less. They're giving more criteria on things that you need to do in order to re-up or qualify for that policy. So we're actually offering that as a service. We'll come in and we'll work with you and your insurance broker to maintain all of those things that you would need to do from an IT perspective. We have an understanding of all the things that would need to be done, whether it's encryption, it's security, it's firewalls, it's compliance. We can come in and make sure that you're going to re-up for your policy and get that stamp from somebody else who's an independent third party so that you guys can qualify for that renewal. So if you need help with that, that's one of the things we do as well. That's all I got.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, thank you. Ntirety has just been a great, go-to partner of ours, because they can come in and tailor fit what your organization needs. Everybody in this room has security experts on staff. They know their business. Sometimes it's nice to have that team of certifications behind to kind of help augment what you're doing. And back to the cyber insurance, we get asked weekly from clients to help them, because this year alone, the process, we have cybersecurity insurance. It's been laborious to get that stuff figured out. So Ntirety, thank you.